Happy Saturday morning, YouTube people. I am making coffee and getting ready to give a lecture to some high school students for PCOM, the Osteopathic Medical School that I graduated both med school and residency from. So they've asked me to do a online Zoom lecture for these high school students to learn more about osteopathic medicine. So I'll record it and you'll see some clips of that, how I do my thing. Ooh. Yeah, that sounds really good. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, what coffee are you drinking, Dr. King? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm drinking Corsa coffee. I swear I'm not sponsored. The Ethiopian blend. This is really good coffee. I'm friends with these guys. They're over at the search and rescue store, which we'll go to after this lecture with Saray when she gets home. She's with a client right now. So this coffee tastes like you don't have to add anything to it. It just tastes so good. I wanted to let you guys know, as this meeting is gonna start in a bit, the reason I started this channel was for osteopathic awareness, so to speak. And I've been giving about 1 or 2 lectures a week over the past couple months to various pre-med, high school, and even club, like med school club organizations, just to let people know that there still are a lot of OMM practitioners out there who really love treating with OMT. And my whole practice is like an OMM based practice along with acupuncture and injections. So I like giving people a window into the possibilities of this kind of medicine. Yeah, I just love doing it. I love lecturing to the younger generation. Leo is currently playing with this rubber band, huh?
So today we have the privilege of hearing Dr. Alex King speak. He is the director of osteopathic medicine at the Shin Center in New Jersey. He's actually one of our professors. He's lectured us in OMM, which he's going to talk to you more about today.
Thanks, Omar. Good morning, everyone. I really appreciate you guys joining on a Saturday. I know there's probably a lot of other things people want to do, but the fact that you're here is, really reassuring and speaks volumes in terms of your commitment to your future and as well as just your interest in learning. So I appreciate it, and I hope I can give you some insights on what I do and what the future could hold for you guys. So a little bit of a background about me. Currently, I'm an OMM specialist as well as a medical acupuncturist and a regenerative injection practitioner at the Shin Center. And we treat a lot of professional athletes, but also a lot of people in the population who are just very active, who get injured, and a lot of chronic disease states as well, where patients have seen multiple specialists, no one can really figure out what to do, they come to see us. We can actually address a lot of medical problems that people cannot seem to fix or get direct answers to, especially tough cases like fibromyalgia, chronic regional pain syndrome, a lot of these really tough chronic cases where the patient is not being healed straight up. A lot of the medical system has trouble with a lot of chronic cases like this in terms of chronic pain and musculoskeletal problems. So my background all started with really how I grew up. My mom is a child psychiatrist. She's an MD and I'm a DO. So she was, and I didn't really know about DOs at all, to be honest. I was on the pre-med track, so to speak. Even since high school, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to be a doctor and love science. But I also had been doing art my whole life. I always took art classes throughout high school, and then in college, I went to a really small college called Muhlenberg. It's a liberal arts school in Allentown, Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Philly. I majored in sculpture, and then I also majored in neuroscience. So I was really trying to balance art and science throughout my whole life, trying to reconcile them, figure out how could I use, my various skills and talents in a way to help other people. And I learned about osteopathic medicine from my pre-med advisor. So she is like was an amazing pre-med advisor because she was very open-minded and saw my talents and possibilities of helping people with my hands. And she was like, hey, there's this school, PCOM, in Philly, just an hour south of here, and they do hands-on medical treatments for people. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? Are they like, is it chiropractic or massage or something? Like, I was clueless about it. But she was like, it's called osteopathic medicine, and you should just research on it and look it up. So I did. I was like, whoa, this sounds really cool, because it's, again, very, very all-encompassing in the way you address your patients and in the way that you think about pathology and disease and the body. And it kind of fit my personality in being like across the spectrum, from taking a lot of art classes, philosophy, science. Like, I was interested in everything. So when I applied, luckily got an interview, went to interview, and they actually asked me more about my artwork and like my thoughts about art and science combining than they did about like my biology and chemistry grades and all that stuff. My pursuits in other aspects really bolstered my application, and people saw that I was like a very unique candidate. So I think that helped me a lot. So I applied and I got in. I was like super stoked to get into medical school, obviously, super competitive. My MCAT scores were like, they were like average. They weren't like crazy good or anything. I did take the MCAT twice. So the first time I took it, I was like, this is not the score that I want. So I had to restudy. If that happens to you, then don't let it discourage you, because every challenge and seeming like failure you learn a lot from that, honestly, and you can come back even stronger from what you learned about that situation. So for me, it was like, I have to do a different way of studying for the MCAT. I have to like really focus way more. Did way better on the next time. I was initially interested in orthopedic surgery. And I shadowed an orthopedic surgeon, and it was cool. Like, I liked it, but I didn't like the lifestyle of a surgeon. So, as I got into my rotations, I'm like, this isn't really for me. It's a little intense, and you're in the hospital like a lot. So I liked more outpatient stuff, but I still like the biomechanics, the orthopedic tests, like all of that, the sports medicine. And then I looked into physiatry, or physical medicine and rehab. That was really intriguing to me, but still, like, I didn't feel like it was my passion, so to speak. So I was kind of doing it just because I knew it would check a lot of boxes. A lot of people knew about PM&R, physiatry, even though it's still pretty small. I could use OMT in my practice, but maybe not a lot of it. At the end of my third year, during my family medicine rotation, I was treating a lot of people with OMM. Every patient would come in, and you'll find that in primary care, over half of the patients have some musculoskeletal complaint. So if you can do something in the office to immediately make them feel better walking out, how often does that happen at the doctor? Typically, they're just like, oh, here's a prescription, go take this and see you in a month. When I was treating people hands-on, we would develop this kind of bond, and they would be like, can I see you in 2 weeks, like, for this again? When I was driving home just one day, I was like, I love this. I'm just gonna do this. So I immediately pivoted in that moment. And I remember that day calling my parents and being like, hi, so I was interested in like, PM&R and rehab. Well, I totally am changing my specialty to OMM. And they were like, what? They're kind of taken aback. They're like, isn't that just like a class that you take? Like, can you really specialize in that? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, because we have professors who have. So they're like, okay, if you want to do that, like, we support you. So from there, I just hit the ground running. I really started treating people even more, getting my skills up, and then applied to residencies in OMM during my fourth year. Beginning part of my residency was manual mostly, not too much needlework, but I knew needles needed to be a big component because there is somewhat of a limitation with your hands. You need to get in the muscle tissue sometimes to get deeper. So I learned a lot, and then continued my private practice starting this past July at the Shin Center in New Jersey. So now I treat using a combination of OMT plus acupuncture and injection treatments. So I don't prescribe really anything anymore. Like, I haven't found the need to, because people are getting results with my treatments in the office, and then they just come back every so often. But it's super rewarding because people truly appreciate the hands-on medicine, since it's such a rare thing to have nowadays, and people don't want to take medicine. Like, a lot of people don't, and that's why a lot of people see me, is because I come up with strategies in terms of your lifestyle, habits, nutrition, supplementation, and actual hands-on treatments to heal various conditions. So yeah, that's a quick background about my past and my history, and I guess why I'm speaking to you guys today.